Rain has a way of bringing back memories you thought were buried forever. I am sitting in my Boston apartment, watching water slide down the glass when my phone buzzes with a notification. It is a message from my grandmother. "There is a letter here for you. You should come read it." The envelope is still on my kitchen table an hour later. Cheap white paper, shaky handwriting, a return address from a nursing home in upstate New York, Maple Grove Care Center. I already know who it is from before I open it. Thomas Keegan, my father, the man who threw me into an October storm when I was 15 years old. The man who looked me in the eyes and said, "I do not need a broken daughter." I have not heard from him in 13 years. Not one call, not one card, not one apology. And now, suddenly, he wants to see me? He says he is dying. He says he is sorry. Funny thing about Rain, it always pulls me straight back to that night, October 14th. I remember every detail. I came home from school thinking about normal things, an algebra test I had aced, dinner, the band poster I wanted to buy with my birthday money. I was just a regular 15-year-old girl who had no idea that her life was about to be ripped apart. When I opened the front door, Thomas Keegan was standing in the living room like a storm of his own. His face was red, his hands were shaking. My older sister, Madison, stood behind him with her arms crossed and her eyes full of something that looked like concern, but felt like something much colder. Before I could even set down my backpack, he started shouting. He told me I had been stealing money from him. He told me he had found pills in my room. He told me I was sick and dangerous and out of control. I tried to speak, I tried to defend myself, but he would not listen. He grabbed my arm, dragged me to the door, and shoved my backpack into my chest. Then he opened the door and pushed me outside into the freezing rain. "Get out of my house," he said. "I do not need a broken daughter." And just like that, at 15 years old, I was homeless in the middle of a storm. Before that night, I was not a problem child. I was Lucy Keegan, a quiet girl who loved school, who kept her head down, who tried very hard not to make life harder for anyone. I got good grades, I did my chores, I stayed out of trouble. If you had asked my teachers to describe me, they would have said I was polite and responsible. But everything changed when my mother died. She passed away when I was 10 years old, and the house never felt the same again. Thomas Keegan did not know how to handle grief. He did not cry, he did not talk, he just shut down. He went to work, came home, sat in his chair, and stared at the television like he was waiting for something to make sense again. So my older sister, Madison, stepped in. At 14, she became the one who cooked dinner and reminded me to do my homework. She became the one Thomas leaned on, the one he praised, the one he trusted. He told her she was strong and mature, and that he did not know what he would do without her. And slowly, without anyone noticing, the roles in our family shifted. Madison became the center of everything. I became the background. It was not loud at first. It was subtle. Little comments, little looks, little moments where I felt less important, like being a kid in a family where one sibling becomes the star and the other becomes invisible. I did not understand it back then. I just felt it. I felt myself shrinking, trying to be quieter, trying not to be in the way, trying not to give anyone a reason to be disappointed in me. I did not know yet that someone was already building a story about who I was supposed to be. Madison was not just stepping up in the family, she was taking control. To Thomas Keegan, she was the responsible one, the daughter who kept everything together after our mother died, the one who never complained and never caused trouble. He trusted her completely because she made him feel like he was still a good father, even when he was barely present. To everyone else, she played the same role. At school, she would talk to my teachers with that soft, concerned voice. She told them I was struggling, that I was acting out, that I was having a hard time coping. She made it sound like she was protecting me, but really, she was quietly rewriting my reputation. Homework assignments went missing the night before they were due. Permission slips somehow never made it to my teachers. Invitations I sent to friends never got delivered. Then people started treating me differently, like they were already expecting me to be a problem. I tried to tell Thomas once. I sat across from him and said that Madison was sabotaging me, that she was lying about me, that something was wrong. He looked at me like I had just insulted him. "You are just jealous of your sister," he said. "She is trying to help this family." That was the moment I learned something important. In this house, Madison was believed. I was not. After that, I stopped talking. I stayed quiet. I stayed small. I did not know how to fight a story that was being told about me when I wasn't even in the room. Then Thomas married Claire. She was polite and distant, the kind of woman who smiles and keeps her hands clean. Madison immediately started calling her mom. I could not bring myself to do that. It felt like betraying my real mother. From that moment on, I was no longer just invisible. I was an outsider. There was one thing Madison never talked about out loud. Funny. Before my mother died, she had set up trust funds for both of us, $45,000 each. It was not meant to make us rich. It was meant to give us a start, a little protection in a world where she wouldn't be there to help us anymore. Madison turned 18 first. She got her money and spent it fast. A new car, designer clothes, expensive gifts for her boyfriend. By the time she was 20, it was all gone. Nothing left but credit card bills and bad decisions. My trust fund was still untouched. It was locked until I turned 18. And there was a clause my mother had added, thinking she was protecting us. If one of my daughters was declared legally unstable or institutionalized before the age of 21, her money would be managed by a family guardian until she recovered. Madison knew exactly what that meant. If I could be labeled unstable, sick, or addicted, someone else could control my money. Someone like a caring older sister who only wanted what was best for me. $45,000. That was what my life was worth to her. And once she saw that number, I stopped being her sister. I became her solution. Once Madison decided what she wanted, everything moved fast. She did not hesitate. She did not feel guilty. She treated it like a business plan. First came the cash, small withdrawals from Thomas Keegan's account using his ATM card. She knew his PIN because she handled the household bills. $800 taken out in one afternoon and hidden where it would look like I had been stealing for weeks. Then came the pills. Her boyfriend had prescription bottles for anxiety medication. She took them and saved them. She made sure they looked used and real. Then she slipped them into my closet while I was at school. Then came the phone, a prepaid burner phone bought with cash at a corner store, loaded with fake text messages from a fake dealer, messages that would make anyone think I was buying drugs. On the morning of October 14th, while I was eating breakfast and thinking about my algebra test, Madison went into my room. She planted everything, the cash in my dresser, the pills in my closet, the paper with the phone number. Then she went to Thomas. She cried. She said she had tried to help me. She said she could not watch her little sister destroy herself anymore. And Thomas believed every word. By the time I walked through the front door after school, my trial was already over. The verdict was guilty. The sentence was exile. He did not ask me what happened. He did not check the bank records. He did not look at the prescriptions. He trusted Madison because she had been telling him who I was for years. All he had to do was listen. And he did. That's how I ended up standing in the rain, soaked and shaking with nowhere to go. That's how my sister sold me for $45,000. I did not leave that house with a plan. I walked because standing still hurt too much. The rain was coming down in sheets, cold and heavy, soaking through my clothes in minutes, my sneakers filled with water, my hair stuck to my face. Every step felt heavier than the last. I kept telling myself that my grandmother's house was only a few miles away, that I just had to keep moving, that if I stopped, something worse would happen. Cars rushed past me on the dark road. None of them slowed down. To them, I was just a shape in the rain, someone else's problem. After the first mile, I couldn't feel my hands. After the second, my legs started to shake. After the third, my teeth were chattering so hard, I thought they might break. But I kept going because I had no choice. People don't talk about how hypothermia tricks you. It doesn't come in like pain. It comes in like relief, like your body is telling you that it's finally okay to stop fighting. I remember seeing a mailbox up ahead. I told myself I would just lean on it for a second, just catch my breath. Then I would keep going. My knees gave out before I reached it. The gravel felt cold against my palms. The rain was loud in my ears, and then everything went quiet. That was the moment I would have died if the wrong person had found me, but the wrong person did not. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was a ceiling that didn't belong to the sky. Bright lights, white tiles, the smell of disinfectant. I was in a hospital. A blanket was tucked around me, warm and heavy, and someone was sitting beside my bed. Her name was Helen Carter. She had silver hair pulled back in a neat bun and reading glasses resting on the end of her nose. She looked like someone's grandmother, but her eyes were sharp, the kind of eyes that miss nothing. Helen spent 35 years working for Child Protective Services before she retired. On her way home from a book club meeting, she saw something on the side of the road, a teenage girl unconscious in the rain. She pulled over, wrapped me in an emergency blanket she kept in her trunk, called for help, stayed until the ambulance arrived, followed it to the hospital. When I woke up, she was still there. She handed me a cup of coffee and said it was terrible but warm. Then she looked at me and asked one simple question. Why was a 15-year-old girl walking alone in a storm with no coat and no phone? So I told her everything, and Helen did something no one in my house ever did. She believed me. While I was lying in that hospital bed, things were already moving. Because I was a minor found in danger, the police had contacted Child Protective Services. That meant professionals were now asking questions, real questions, not the kind Madison could answer for me. Helen Carter stayed by my side when the caseworker arrived. Her name was Maria Lopez, and she had been doing this job long enough to know when a story did not smell right. My father brought in the evidence Madison had shown him, the cash, the pills, the phone. Maria did not just look at it, she checked it. The $800 that was found in my dresser came from one single ATM withdrawal on October 14th, not weeks of stealing, one transaction. The bank provided camera footage from that machine. The person on the screen was not me, it was Madison. The timestamp read 2:47 in the afternoon. At that exact time, I was sitting in my chemistry class. My school records proved it. My teacher remembered me. I was 12 miles away. Then there were the pills. They were traced back to a prescription from Madison's boyfriend, and he had reported those pills stolen 3 days after I was kicked out, not before, after. That meant they were never stolen at all. They were planted. Then came the burner phone. Store cameras showed a young woman buying it, her face, her ponytail, and through the window, her white car with a dented bumper. Madison's car. Maria Lopez kept digging, and what she found was worse. For almost 2 years, checks had been forged in Thomas Keegan's name, small amounts that added up. The money went into accounts connected to Madison's boyfriend. Total stolen, almost $18,000. Madison had not just framed me, she had been robbing our father blind and needed someone to blame, and she chose me. The truth did not stay quiet for long. My grandmother hired a lawyer named Leonard Price, an old family friend who had known my mother for years. He took Maria Lopez's evidence and built a case that Madison could not talk her way out of. Then something unexpected happened. Madison's boyfriend was arrested in another state for running a large financial scam. Facing serious charges, he agreed to cooperate. He gave the prosecutors everything: messages, plans, dates, proof that the frame job had been Madison's idea from the start. By the time we walked into family court, the story Madison had told for years was already falling apart. The judge listened as the evidence was laid out: the ATM footage, my school attendance, the pharmacy records, the forged checks, the confession. Madison tried to look innocent, tried to cry, but facts do not care about performances. She took a plea deal, a felony conviction, probation, community service, restitution, and a permanent restraining order that said she was never allowed to contact me again. Thomas Keegan lost his rights as my guardian. He was ordered to pay for my therapy and education. For the first time since my mother died, someone had finally chosen me. Living with my grandmother changed everything. Her house was not fancy, but it was safe. There were no secrets, no traps, no one waiting for me to fail, just warm meals and quiet mornings, and the simple comfort of being wanted. I went to a new school where nobody knew my past. I made real friends. I went to therapy. I learned that what happened to me was abuse, not weakness. I grew up. I went to college. I got a job. I moved to Boston. I built a career in marketing and a life that belonged to me. I fell in love. His name is Daniel. He is patient and steady and kind, the kind of man who would never throw anyone into a storm. We are engaged now, planning a future that feels safe. I had not spoken to Thomas Keegan in 13 years, not until the letter came from a nursing home saying he was dying, saying he was sorry, and asking me to come see him one last time. The letter came to my grandmother's house. She called me and said there was something there I should see. She did not tell me what it was. She just let me decide. When I opened the envelope, my hands were shaking. Thomas Keegan wrote that he had suffered a stroke, that he could barely use the left side of his body, that he lived in a small room at a nursing home. Now the house was gone. The life he thought he had was gone. He wrote that Madison had come to see him, and he refused to let her into his room. He said he could not look at her without remembering what he'd done because of her lies. He wrote that I was the only person he wanted to see, the only one he needed to apologize to. He said he knew he did not deserve forgiveness. He said he knew I owed him nothing, but he was running out of time, and he could not leave this world without trying. I sat at my grandmother's kitchen table for a long time after I finished reading. I did not go for him. I went for myself, because I did not want to carry unanswered questions into the rest of my life. The nursing home smelled like disinfectant and old memories. Thomas Keegan's room was small and quiet. A single bed, a television no one was watching, a window that looked out on a parking lot. He looked much older than I remembered. The stroke had taken something from him, something proud. When I walked in, he started crying. He tried to apologize. He said my name over and over, like he was afraid I would disappear if he stopped. I let him speak, and I sat down across from him. I told him I forgave him, not because what he did was okay, but because I was tired of carrying the weight of it. I told him forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing peace over anger. You believed a lie because it was easier than the truth, I said. You chose Madison because she made you feel comfortable, and you threw me away because I reminded you of everything you lost. I told him I built my life without him, a career, a home, a man who loves me. You do not get to be part of that, I said, but I am not angry anymore. He nodded. He was crying again. We talked about safe things, my job, my city, my fiancé. When I stood up to leave, he reached for my hand. I let him touch my fingers for a moment. Then I walked out. In the hallway, a nurse stopped me. She said my sister had been there the week before. Madison, she said. Thomas Keegan refused to see her. He told the staff to send her away. He said he could not look at her face anymore. For years, I had been the daughter who was pushed aside, and now, when it finally mattered, I was the one he wanted. But it was too late to change the past. I walked outside into the October sunlight. The air was cool but gentle. 13 years ago, October meant rain and fear and almost dying on the side of the road. Now it meant falling leaves and a life that finally felt like my own. Some storms do not destroy you. They redirect you. I lost a father who did not deserve me. I gained a grandmother who fought for me. I lost a sister who never loved me. I found myself. Daniel was waiting for me when I got home. Dinner on the table, a quiet movie playing, arms ready to hold me when I needed it. I was not that 15-year-old girl in the rain anymore. I was safe. I was strong, and I was finally free. If this story moved you, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'll see you in the next.